Okay, yay. Good, 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 good. All right. Hello, dear star shines. Welcome, welcome, welcome uh, to joining me again in this live stream. This is a different one than we did last week. And I know two so close in a row. I wanted to, get online and reconnect with you guys and talking and continue to talk about pieces that are empowering for you. So this is, we're closing up a really, really ratchet season, 2025 ratchet season. And the more I want everybody to end up feeling as we launch into the next chapter in a couple months that that you're empowered, that you're centered, and you feel like you can really step up and live your purpose. So that's why I'm here doing these talks, and I also, of course, want to get the word out of all the different things that we offer to support our community at large with these things, with empowering and empowerment and inspiration. So, for those of you who are new to the conversation or new to me or watching this video, my name is Christina. I am a consciousness acceleration expert, let's say. And I do the best. My purpose is I'm a visionary. I'm a builder. I empower people. So in my life path, growing and deepening into this narrative that we call the Great Ascension or the new paradigm, new Earth, whatever. There's a lot of really deep lessons that I've learned, and I want to help convey them to you guys, not just through words and understanding, but also energetic transmissions. And actually, that's most of what my work is energetic transmissions, and then clearing, tracking, cultivating, the different kinds of experiences for us to have to empower ourselves and to step forward into this new world, not being afraid to set new trends, to be the way shower. Many of you guys, most of you guys are actually, I'm going to say you and I, all of you guys are all way showers in your own way. You have perceptions that are different, you have lifestyles that are different, you have a depth to you that the larger human family maybe is not able to tune into, or is delayed and appreciating enough to want to tune into that kind of thing. A lot of us are healthcare workers, body workers, poets, artists, builders. We are in all these different genres of life, and it's my knowing that this isn't random. All of you guys, you and I, we are here for a reason, for a purpose. We went through a lot to be able to be born into this reality, and it's not just to live the program of this reality. I really feel like, and maybe you do too, that we are here to bring in that change, to usher in the change, to take advantage of the transition, of that chaos, from transitioning to the old structures into the new. We have all been seated here in different ways to bring our purpose forward, to reclaim that shift, in my opinion, and to a world that's actually truer to our authentic expression of who we are. So today we're here to talk about the secrets that I've discovered on how to transform your intuition into mastery. And this is a lifelong pursuit. I've been doing or practicing and walking the path of energy medicine for over 30 years. And where I am now in my understanding and perceptions is light years from where I was. And I imagine you guys also feel a similar kind of way. There are terms that we have from the older days, let's say, that perhaps don't mean the same thing now that they used to. For me, example is the word ascension. And I talked about this a little bit last week. I'll just touch on it again. Back in the day, before 2012, we had the end of the Mayan calendar coming. Our idea of ascension for a lot of people was that we were going to leave the 3D reality and no longer be limited by our bodies. Now, I can still say that now and have it be truthful, but what it means is completely different. What it means is completely different. in the exploration of these, what I'm calling secrets, what I realized was that imbuing the biosuit as much as possible with consciousness is the liberating experience, is liberating you as an infinite being in a biosuit. So we can change the relationship from being empowered and grateful to be in this reality and see the miraculousness, the magic, the power of being in a biosuit, right? Versus, what the idea before the connotation was, is that these are meat sacks that are hindering our ability to be who we really are. Now, fast forward all these years, I realize that actually is part of the program that we're working through right now. Okay. Hello, dear sister Starshines, and you can say hi a little bit. So, darling Susan, yay, so good to see you again too, darling. Hello, dear Bev. Hello, Tony, good to see you. Stacy, hey there. All right, guys. So let's go dive into this more. This I guess when we talk about transforming intuition into mastery, we need to first understand, what does mastery mean, right? What does mastery mean to you? You guys can put that in the comments too. What does that term in this context mean to you, mastery? Now, some people might automatically qualify mastery as a master, as in now you're going to compare your intuitive abilities to the Siddhus of Asia, or the guru in the mountain, or the Taoist master that can, shapeshift and levitate and do all these other things. Yes, they are masters, but in my understanding, as I go into this path deeper and deeper, we are all here to master ourselves. We're all here to step into our authentic expression, which means it's going to require mastery of self. So I looked it up on the Webster, in the Webster dictionary, about what mastery means. And oh shoot, here I am in the position to read without my readers again. I do this all the time. I leave my readers somewhere. Um, okay, so I think I can squint and read this. I know I'm ridiculous. All right, so mastery. It says a comprehensive knowledge or skill in a particular subject or activity. Now, I would expand on that in this context, intuition and mastery, which means when you are in your intuitive senses, honoring the information that's coming, valuing the data sets that your intuition is giving you, whether it be knowing or hearing or anything like this. um so hold on a second. Sorry, I think I started to say convey this backwards. So think about the times in your life where you are honoring your intuition, where you do feel your intuitive hits happening, your data sets coming, and you are in the relationship to them to take action on them. Okay. Now, chances are, and I could be wrong, and let me know if I am, chances are there's only little blocks, pieces in the whole fabric of your life where you feel settled in your intuition. Maybe you feel settled in your intuition when you're journaling, or when you're with your closest girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever. Maybe it's only with certain people that you're deeply rooted in yourself and interacting. Now, what I would say mastery is that it's just not in those little segments on the overall fabric of your life. It's threads that weave through all the fabrics, all the levels of that fabric in your life. Okay. That's what I would call intuitive mastery. So this means we are feeling, our sensitivities are available, we are here, but we are also deeply centered in ourselves and not impacted by the energies of others in a way that throws us off. Now, I've worked with masters and immortal masters, both in Dreamtime and in person, and there are some interesting ideas that they have shared with me that we perhaps discount. One is that They are in their sensitivities, they are in their center. But what happens is when they get thrown off with interactions with people, it's not if, it's when they get thrown off by the energies, interactions with people, they notice and recover so quickly, nobody else notices. So for us, we feel like they are in the experience of this endless continuum of being centered and empowered and clear and concise. Okay, but it's actually from the feedback from them, that's not true. They get thrown off too. It's just that they are so centered that they catch it right away and then course correct. Okay. All right, let's see what we have as far as comments go. So Beverly says consistent nurturing and developing. Okay. Okay, that's what she would consider the path of transforming intuition into mastery. And then Susan says, I feel intuition mostly when I'm working or on my own. Okay, so I know Susan, she is, well, actually, she's a multi-talented goddess, but when she says working, I imagine she's talking about when she's working one-on-one with a person, a client, doing body work, and doing her detox consulting work, like this sort of thing. Yes. I think a lot of us, yeah, on our own. This is usually when we have it. This is usually when our intuition is there, is in when we are alone, either walking in nature or in some settled, relaxed setting. That could be in the shower, that could be driving, assuming you're not in crazy traffic. I've driven across this country, I don't know how many times, and I've gotten so many downloads for my personal stuff when I'm driving down a freeway and, without having to concentrate. All right. Yes. Oh, hello, gorgeous. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big hugs from Spain. Oh, this is your sister Daniela, isn't it? Oh, mwah, love you, darling. You know what? I was thinking about you the other day. I'm trying to remember the context of how it came up. Anyway, maybe you felt me. I gave you a little energetic hug and kiss thinking about you, darling. All right. Okay. So now that we're talked about what we're referring to when we're going into mastery, right? So intuitive mastery has components to it, and they're very simple but not easy. Okay, one of them is, and this is the feedback that I have watched over and over again by working with people, is trusting yourself. Trusting yourself is one of the biggest pitfalls to following your intuition. Okay, when we because and this is rooted in a very uh, clear reason. Okay. As women, and I think men have this too, though I have not had as many conversations with men about this as I have with women, because I mostly work with women in this context. The reason why we have a default baseline of not trusting ourselves is because growing up, we were taught that being accepted by the people we're surrounded, our family and society, being accepted is far more important for your longevity, health, survival than your inner knowing. Okay. So we've inherited a very deep message that is way more important to be accepted than to settle into and value your inner knowing. Okay. This is something that is a constant piece of work. It comes up over and over and over again in this. So it's something that you grow in over time. But I have found an amazing antidote for that. And this is one of the big components of what we do in Lightbody. The antidote for that is cultivating a tribe, a community that has a high value, has a priority in clear, honest, transparent feedback. When you are surrounded with people who are clear, honest, transparent with their feedback, your inner trust will build, because you'll realize your intuition, that little flash, that intuitive flash, that inkling, whatever that impulse was right on. And the more you get feedback loops that show you the accuracy, the truth in what your inner knowing's telling you, you day by day, week by week, month by month, action by action, moment by moment, start to rebuild that inner trust, if this makes sense. Okay, rebuild. So as we build that inner trust inside, we are more confident in how we show up in the world outside of even the client context, right? I'm outside of the context where it's our intuition is part of our job. For a lot of us, it is, right? For as a body worker, as a consultant, as a coach, as whatever, you know. Actually, I've met a dear sister Starshine that considers herself a financial priestess, and she is a financial manager, an investment coach, and all these things for business women. You know, she uses her intuition in the context of investing, which is brilliant, right? And you know, she's well, from what I can tell, and I don't know her very well. I just have had maybe a dozen interactions with her and conversations. She seems like she's very successful at it. So there are, you know, some emotional hurdles, some mental hurdles that we have to get through in order to continue to nurture our inner knowing, our trust in our inner knowing. Okay. So, on an emotional level, trusting our inner knowing is that whole thing about being accepted. As an empath, as a sensitive, having a discord between us and other people is a little bit is difficult for us to be space holder for. Okay, especially if there's blame and scapegoating and you know all this disempowerment games that other people play. And believe me, just because people say they're spiritual folks doesn't mean that they're honest and transparent or emotionally mature or wise. It's a label. This took me a while to learn. Actually, I learned this from my children. My children's told me they've had experience. They're adults now, but when they were kids, they were like maybe 13, 12, 13, 14 years old, that age range. They explained to me that being spiritual is hip now, it's cool. And a lot of people are, you know, dressing what they consider spiritual dressing to be, you know, I don't know, maybe they're into yoga or they're into, you know, being into paganism or, you know, all these different, there's all these sorts of genres. It's a long list, but they would dress the part and act the part, right? But they're doing it because it's cool, not because it's actually their soul passion. Or maybe it is their soul passion, but they're still, you know, not in the transformative benefits of what a spiritual path can offer you, right? So, and then my I was kind of like taken back by that. Okay, it's like, okay, I think I can see what that looks like, you know, and I reflected and questioned myself when I was a teenager, practicing yoga, meditation, and mantras. Was that just something cool to do? Was I doing something like that, you know? And upon reflection, I realized no, I definitely had a heartfelt desire to transform myself because I knew that how I was not true to who I really am inside. And that was my pathway. I knew it was my pathway. So I mean it's always good to reflect on these things. And then the other feedback that my eldest daughter gave me, she said that there's a whole genre of people that are kind of like the hippie type and they consider themselves spiritual because they smoke pot. Honest to God, honest to God, that is the thing. And when she told me that, I really had to like question. I was like, "What is that really a thing?" And because there's this idea, like deadheads, hippies, the modern whatever, that there's a spiritual component to the lifestyle, and there might be for a lot of people, but you know, unfortunately, that's not the majority. And this is where we start to allow our intuitive senses to go off of not what people project, what they want you to see in them. We can allow our senses to show us what is really in front of us, and that is not going to make for a healthy relationship because people don't want to actually be feel vulnerable like that. They want you to know what they want you to know about them and nothing else. And when we're empathic, intuitive, psychic even, we can see past all that. And then, now the relationship is going to be, or the energy is going to be uncomfortable. And because we don't like that, we personally have a hard time settling in our center while there's uncomfortable things going on. What do? We'll start caretaking that person. We'll start matching their energy so they feel more comfortable. You see what I mean? We'll start doing things to make everybody comfortable, harmonic. We'll do whatever we need to do. Some of us will go through great lengths to clear the energy for that goal, right? But that's not necessarily our job, and a lot of times that disempowers people because now they don't have the opportunities to see themselves clearly anymore because we've just rosied up the place, if you know what I mean. Hmm. Guys, let me know if you understand what I mean, or if you've ever done that yourself. I used to do that all the time. I used to want to clear the energy before I go places all the time. And then after a while, I realized that that actually is not building a strong, that's not building giving me the practice I need to be strong in my presence with no matter what's happening, right? Uh, this is something that needs to get tested over and over again because it's like a muscle, being able to stay in your strength, stay in your center, even when you're in the environment that is not beautiful or harmonic, or maybe it has beautiful aspects to it, but there's also some other stuff to it, you know. The more you can face adversity, diversity, and disharmonic energy clearly in your center, okay, then this is huge. This is huge for an empath. This is huge for a sensitive and intuitive, whatever that is. That we all have different terms that we resonate with. Really important thing. The other biggest hurdle mentally to really trust yourself, okay, is that we make ourselves wrong. We'll take a data set, it doesn't match what the person says or their act, right? And then we'll make ourselves wrong. And that happens over and over and over again to the point where it's much easier to disregard your intuitive data set than it is to give it weight. It's so much easier to disregard it, especially when you're around people who are not honest, are not clear, don't know themselves. Actually, when you're around people who don't know themselves and you are on the path of really getting to know, being with yourself, knowing yourself, they energetically very often get triggered. And that means now you're maybe not in such a safe place in relationship to that energy because we're sensitive. We want love, kindness, and compassion just like everybody else does. And we're not only wanting that, we're willing to bring it into the scenario. But if we're not with other people that have that capacity, then we're opening ourselves up for potentially for some uncomfortable disharmonic interactions. Okay. There's another thing that goes on the mental field. All right, darlings. Oh, sorry. I thought I felt a comment come in. All right. So you guys let me know. Do you find yourself in these scenarios where you're with people and the centeredness is a struggle? Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, Stacy. Yeah, she's resonating on both sides here. So we learned I learned, but I wasn't alone in that because we have community here, because that's part of accelerating your path is being in community in this context. We all went to that workshop, Vision Without Eyes, and we learned a lot about how the brain works, excuse me, and just how much the structures of our brain get in the way of our intuitive perceptions and knowing. And what this looks like is, so you put on the mask, and there's these little windows that open up in the mask, and you can see light, you can see color, and you can nurture these windows where they get bigger, bigger, bigger to the point where you can read, you can write, you can walk. Okay. So, but even though, this is my personal experience, even though I'm seeing light and colors through these windows in the mask, which is like a solid blacked out mask, My brain is insisting that there's a hole in the mask. My brain, even though I'm having the real time experience, real time seeing, my brain is still telling me that it's because there's a hole in the mask. Okay. That is how strong our intellectual, rational mind is. Our intellectual, rational mind does not work with what is actually happening in front of us. Our intellectual, rational mind has a set of constructs set up that we have to operate by because they're like givens to reality, right? And if we don't have enough evidence to completely shatter those givens to the structure of our reality, we will constantly relapse back to that rational intellectual mind that is quite literally blind to what's happening in front of it. Okay. Now I tested this with my brain because by even though I can see movement and color and light, you know what I mean, and the windows. So the other thing would happen is that there's a window and then there's another window and then there's another window and another window, which also disproves the reality that my brain is saying that there's holes in the mask. So I get home and I have a whole bunch of those mindfuls. So I actually changed the mask, you know, and those windows didn't change. And so, but yet my brain still wanted to insist that there were holes in the mask. You see what I mean? So we're talking about a completely different product line, completely different decades. I mean, the masks that I have are all the way back from like 2010, 2012, and then I have a brand new mask from 2025, right? There's no way that they're part of the same production line. There's no way that they, the same errors are identical in each of these masks. So it's like I really had to go through it because that mechanism inside had to make it wrong. So this is what we face with our intuitive data sets. We face that level of discount, okay, inside of ourselves. So, and this is part of the side effect of what indigenous people might call the colonized mind. The colonized mind is heavy in the left brain, heavy on the left side of the brain, and values things that are in the precision, the right, wrong, the logic, this kind of thing, and the abstract, the creative, artful, that kind of stuff. Personally, people value it here and there, but as a collective whole, we don't really value it. I mean, our education system is a great example. There's a very little value put that's equal to the arts and performances and singing and all this other stuff compared to science and math. It's like science and math is the concrete way to go. Being an artist or a dancer, that's risky business there. You might not make it on that. That's kind of like something that you're better off having as a hobby. This is the message that we're given to in our educational circuit. Not always. There are definitely exceptions to the rule of that. It's just I'm just giving a generalization, which is going to be not true for everybody. Okay. So the other thing that happens is that we get conditioned to give our power away. And when we are giving our energy away, we can't be fully present for that. Some part of us has to check out. Some part of our energy has to shift in order to allow those energetic cord exchanges to happen. Okay. A great example is that a lot of people have a real hard time giving true, honest feedback when someone asks for it. Okay. Someone asks for some feedback. People are so uncomfortable giving true and honest feedback, they are going to, I call it sliming, slime the person with all the things that are amazing and beautiful about them and not offer them anything that could be something for them to work on. That's most of the time in my experience. So when we are able to stand in our truth, allow ourselves to even have our truth in our own thoughts, we're that much closer to be able to be in our truth in our interactions. You see what I mean? All right. Yeah. Okay. So, dear sister Starshine says she used to get goosebumps that she interpreted as confirmation to her intuition. So that can be true. That can absolutely be so. It's not necessarily so like a rule. And the reason why is because our intuition is far vaster. There's perceptions happening that are far vaster than we realize. And our nervous system responds to these data sets. So I would say definitely that particular feedback loop, goosebumps, is your physical response to an intuitive data set? Absolutely. Does it mean right or wrong? Well, that is kind of remains to be seen. Because what does right or wrong mean? What is reality, right? So when we are dealing with humans that have a particular kind of structure of what reality is about, and they're not open to anything else, how we perceive, how we operate inside of ourselves, the energy field that's around us is not going to feel free and probably compatible with that. Okay. So now, because we have this mechanism of giving our power away to make other people feel more comfortable, there's some part of us that is trying to not just mirror, I would say match that frequency, which means we have to now sacrifice certain energies inside of ourselves to accommodate that other person. You see what I mean? Now these are things that are these are just the way interactions happen. But I want to offer you guys really clear secrets to resisting the temptation to that kind of interaction and standing deeper in your own truth, if this makes sense. Okay. And I want to pose a question to you guys. What do you imagine is the antidote to these kinds of interactions that I'm talking about? You know, it's like, oh, there's a term here that I didn't introduce that I need to. A lot of times, especially in interactions that are kind of intense, empaths, sensitives, intuitives like ourselves will find because of past experiences, we'll end up finding that our nervous system kind of hits a tipping point where we fawn. And what I mean by fawning is that we all of a sudden become so over the top agreeable to whatever, we're accepting to whatever, we're supportive to whatever, or sometimes we're just frozen and we can't talk or speak our mind. We're just kind of like there watching. That's called fawning. That's a nervous system response, a trauma response, actually. So many sensitives have this and there's reasons to it. Okay. So I needed to throw that piece in there because that's something that really bothers us when we have that kind of experience. Um, I, I had someone in my life that was so shut down to the truth, had such a hostile relationship to the truth. When they asked me certain things, you know, to be honest with them about certain things, I would have to look at them and say, like, you know, your words are saying you want it, but energetically, it's like I'm completely blocked from really speaking to you like this, you know, on this level. You know, there's a block to it. And this is because it took me a long time to wake up to the manipulation, is that I would get set up to share something and then I would get scapegoated later for having shared it. You know, it's like now it's like they really want my thoughts about it. I share with it and then it gets weaponized and used against me later. It took me a long time to understand that manipulation pattern. But now that I see it, I can't unsee it. And yes, when I don't feel free in front of somebody, I know that there's a reason. And it could be a calculated reason or it could not be. A lot of people don't know that they are narrow minded. A lot of people or don't know that they are blinded by being really attached to belief systems. You see what I mean? Okay. Oh, I didn't get any feedback from that. Guys, come on now. All right. So I'll give you antidote number one. Antidote number one is re-examine what it is, what it means to you to be grounded and centered. Grounded and centered. Think about what it feels like when you are grounded and centered. Like, how do you feel in your body when that sense of groundedness and centeredness is there? How does that feel in your body? And then can you maintain that feeling during your interactions throughout the day? Can you maintain that contact when you're in traffic, going to the grocery store, standing in line? Okay. Can you maintain that contact? Now, how I learned about grounding and centering is there was a massive spectrum to that. In the beginning, I was learning from Reiki people, light workers, energy workers of certain modalities, but and there was a common consensus that you can create something called a grounding cord and put it into earth, and that's grounding and centering. Okay, so in my experience of that, that is a let's say it's a weak force. It's not strong, and it's not about how focused you are when you do it either. It's that you're actually sending energy out of your body, and there is a concept that one needs to connect with something outside of oneself to reach divine connection. So to reach your divine connection relationship with the Pachamama, Mother Earth, means you need to reach out to her. You need to reach out to that. Okay. Or same thing with spirit, with what people may call the one true creator, the true God, the universe. One needs to reach somewhere to touch that connection. You see what I mean? Now, I've had the benefit I've had the benefit of working with immortal masters. Now, it started off in dream time, and then as I was ready, I would meet them in person. Now, I haven't met all of them in person. Some of them stay in the dream time, but the ones that I have met in person had profound, life-changing experiences to show me. And one of them, actually, sorry, I caught myself in an overgeneralization because I feel rather shy talking about it. Um, so there were, all right, so one of them were in my dreams, but when I went there and actually had an interaction, there were three that I had an interaction with, and they were Taoist masters, a female and two males. And the Taoist masters, immortal masters, showed me that it's all inside of you. Yes, you can bring your energy out into the earth and bring it back to you. That could be a cleansing experience, or bring your energy out into the cosmos and bring it back to you. Also a cleansing experience, opening experience, but also what but to actually connect with that consciousness, to feel centered, to feel grounded. It's a matter of tuning in to that frequency inside of you. So there is a place within the body where you can touch the divine heart and mind of the Pachamama. That frequency is living inside of you. It's a living, breathing force, energy that's inside of your body, your biosuit, that you can touch anytime you want with your focus. It takes focus and discipline and dedication to be able to access it like that, right? But anybody could do it. And the same thing with cosmic creator, with the cosmic life force that breathes through all of us. It's inside of us. It breathes through us. It's a frequency that lives inside of our biosuit. It's not out there or down here. It's inside. And again, it takes focus, dedication, commitment of reconnecting with that frequency over and over and over again to have it as a foundation that you can just visit on a drop of a dime. Okay. Now, this goes against a lot of perceptions we have as Westerners. Westerners have a lot of default programming that disconnects us from the spiritual, I'm going to say, foundations. So even modern day Asians have a deeper sense of connection with their lineages and their ancestors. Okay. And there's other traditions that do too. The African Sangoma, the mystics of South and Central America, they all do. They all do. They have that too. But with the Asian, it's like a rigid structure that isn't varied from very much. If you, oh, thank you for all those hearts, darling. Thank you. Now, I actually had a question posed to me the other day where somebody was like, "Well, how do you practice, how do you do ancestral work as a white Westerner without um, culturally appropriating?" Okay. And you know what? To be honest, I never thought of that ever before. And so when this question was posed, I was like, wow, that is a brand new thought I never had. But I can also see why one would have that question. So I was able to see why someone would think that that's a thing. Because culturally, ancestor connection has not been highly, it's valued, but not to the level that it is in, other cultures. So immediately what comes forward for me, oh, thank you for all those hearts, guys. What comes forward for me is that, my I look at my ancestry. My ancestry on one side is English Scottish, and on the other side is Eastern European Russian. And I visited these areas. So I went to the Celtic lands, and there is a deep rooted connection to ancestry, honoring the crone, honoring the grandmothers. Okay. So first I had to experience it and recognize it for myself, the depth of the connection that my people come from, right? And then I also, not having the intention to do it in this with for this reason or with this context, was I traveled to Bosnia Herzegovina, Croatia, which is on the Mediterranean, is part of the what goes up into the Eastern Bloc, into the Carpathian Mountains, Transylvania, Slovenia, up through the Balkans and all this. And I also, again, felt a deep rooted connection. But what I realized was, that side of my family, the Eastern European Russian side of the family, were devout Catholics. But the actual um, dominant, uh, I'm going to say, lines of that region were from the Ottoman Empire, which were Persians, which were Islamic. And I found that fascinating because all my life I have had such a deep resonance with the Sufis and Rumi. The well, I discovered the Rumi poetry. I was younger. I was like in my early 20s. But it was like as soon as I touched that frequency, it was like, oh, I had such a deep resonance. And I realized it's likely that ancestral connection in addition to the spiritual soul journey connection, if you see what I mean. So you guys consider your own ancestries and look for those pieces where your ancestors were actively connecting with the ancestral lines, valuing that connection. So when it becomes something real for you through your own lens, your own family, that is how you do it in an authentic way where it doesn't look like or open yourself up for that whole idea about cultural appropriation. Like there's a Sangoma medicine man, you know, he's so brave, so brave in South Africa, and Irish descent, I believe. And he's going into the traditional Sangoma medicine path, which is African. Not that he doesn't consider himself African, but he is white African, not black African. So you can imagine the level of upset that he stirs up with coming into the scene with this work. And if you guys had any experience with Sangomas, you understand that the ancestral connection is prominent, it's dominant. in the ceremonial aspects and in other kinds of engagement, energetic engagement. But the ancestors are more than just the family line. The ancestors are the ones that live. They're like the telluric mirror of our own reality. So ancestor, what that actually means changes. It grows, the depth of it goes way back before time was time, and it goes into deep mystical star people, star knowledge levels, star wisdom levels. All right. Hello, darling. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the conversation. All right. So hopefully I answered that. Okay. You guys feel what I'm talking about with this ancestor piece, but also with the grounding and centering that I'm talking about? The grounding and centering, what that means and how we go about it. So the keys here for this, for facilitating this transformation, is addressing these pieces that I'm talking about. You know, this trust in yourself, trust in the intuition, getting past that value system that it's more important to be accepted, you know, to settle into what you have to do for that acceptance versus settle into what you have to do to anchor more deeply into your knowing, right? Very different experiences in the moment. So there's that kind of thing. Um, and then of course there's the battling that intellectual mind, like constantly re-educating that intellectual mind, re-educating that left brain to check itself and recognize that it doesn't see the whole picture. It's not available for the whole picture, if you know what I mean, right? So you know, this piece is a big thing as well. And how so? I'm sorry, I'm starting to lose myself. I don't know why I'm losing myself in this piece here. All right, it could be that's not quite landing is what's going on. So the keys, getting back to the secrets of getting through this, is that community, that transparent relationship, the honest relationship. When you ask someone a question, they're going about their observation of A, B, or C, or even yourself, they're going to be honest in a compassionate, constructive kind of way, clear and honest, right? When you track in groups as a community, you have to have that clarity and honesty there. And when that component is active within the collective exchange, this is where you discover just how deep your senses go, which is really important. Now you discover how deep your senses go and how accurate they are. Then the challenge is to stay in the embodiment of that knowledge. That knowledge is to inform you, not that you need to share it with outside that tracking clinic. You don't need to share it with others for that validation, right? See this, because this is something else that we do. We reach out, look outward for the validation rather than taking the data set in, recognizing it as an information, you know, that you might get confirmation for in the moment, but most likely the confirmation won't come until way later. But you trust yourself to value the data set. You trust yourself to value what your inner knowing is telling you enough to take that action or to refrain from action. Right? All right, we have a few different things coming up. Hello, dear sister. Thank you, thank you, thank you. With you, I see clear why I don't resonate at all with any kind of meditation or tool that is not about from you within you. Yes, 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 yes. And thank you for that. Yeah. And you know, these younger star seeds, these younger generations get naturally a lot of what I'm talking about here. And I'm not saying that, you know, the old ones are out of luck or not. No, we all got this. These transmissions, these encodements are for all of us to embody. This transformation from that old paradigm into new, it's for everybody that wants it. It's not about only certain people have the encodements for it. No, together we all resonate. We all transmit, we all receive, we all choose to resonate. and as in that it grows, and this is what brings that new paradigm and the rules that come along with it, the new rules of reality that come along with it. All right, so let me go back to, because I need to finish, but the secrets here before the end. Time just flies by when I get talking, let me tell you. All right, dear sister. All right. So my ancestor was William Harvey, the discoverer of the circulatory system. My younger brother and I have always had the attraction to healing and transforming the body, mind, and spirit. And it makes, yes, it makes sense. Yes, 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 very cool. I didn't know William Harvey was the discoverer of the circulatory system. I didn't realize that. All right, my brother was dying. The healthy was when my brother was dying, the healthy members of his ancestry were able to support his transition. Oh yeah, so that's a whole nother ball game. The process of death and dying and ancestors being in the context of that. That is very, so now this is diving into the importance of ancestral work. The fact is, we all have ancestors. We all get born into this world and we all leave this world. We all have a moment where we choose to leave this reality, and we call that death. That transition into this world and the transition out of this world are very, very impactful, significant to our soul's journey. These experiences are very, very important to our soul's journey, because there are mechanisms in place that blind us and make us susceptible to the programming, to the matrix, to the false realities that are imposed upon us by the collective. So that's a whole nother rabbit hole I can't really get into and stay cohesive here. um, Cohesive in the message that I'm sending transmitting. All right. So when we are looking at the big secrets, number one, community. This accelerates your capacity to step into your knowing through reflection, clear reflection, validation, and honest, constructive feedback. Tracking, being in a group while you're using your multidimensional capacities together. Huge, huge, huge. That is something that has been missing in the light worker world for a very long time. It's, I mean, now it's starting to grow, but it's still something that we have a mentality that gets in the way. Like for example, like competition, the idea of one being right, the other being wrong. Like there are all these old paradigm ideas that get in the way of sensitive star seeds, empathic, whatever, intuitive people getting together and looking deeply into a situation or scenario. When I mean tracking, multidimensionally tracking into these scenarios, getting to the truth. That this is a secret, not because things it's been kept away from you. This is secret because our perceptions and the way we show up inside literally blinds us from it being possible. We don't see it, therefore we can't do it. We can't connect and do it. So this is a shifting of the ages that's bringing this piece forward, where we can show up for it. We can allow that kind of unfoldment to take place. Now, to me, it makes complete sense that it's women, a collective of women that open up to that first before the men. And it's not that it's one or the other, but women are more inclined to work with each other. Now, I have had this whole download from certain people that say that they've never had healthy relationships with women. And that could really be true, but I think that's more of a karmic kind of situation, because some of those people are in our community that is mostly women, and it's because we're all women that and we're bringing these pieces forward. We are extremely cohesive, very, very open and trusting within each other's presence. to be vulnerable, to track, to really visit those difficult things. So so I feel like there's like a shadow expression of the women connection, and one that's more of a integrative light piece. This is what I mean, that kind of interaction. Men, my observation of men, this is interesting. Some of them are really supportive, mentoring, brother, I got your back kind of attitude, and many are not. The ones that are, I'm going to say, avoidant and shut down to authentically showing up, they're the ones that really aren't able to connect with other men and have that kind of brotherhood. The ones that are really okay with being open and vulnerable and speaking truth and all this and understand the significance of how they show up, those are the men that are those are the leaders. Those are the courageous ones that can hold that space and bring other men to the circle. And then I would say, bringing those two together is the next thing to happen, because one of the I think dysfunctions of the Western world is that, and maybe it's other cultures as well, is that the when we have close intimate connections with the opposite sex, we kind of make it have to fit into a certain kind of box. It's like to have love and admiration as a woman for another man. There's this lingering question of, oh, is it romantic? Is it physical? Or does it go with these other places? Most of the time, it doesn't need to. No, most of the time, that's not actually where that connection is. It's more of being a human, recognizing another amazing human, valuing the qualities that they exude, embody, exhibit, and just having appreciation for that. It doesn't need to go any further. And sometimes men can show up for that, and sometimes they can't. And a lot of times, I'm going to just, from my observation, women show up for that, but there's other things with it very often. So I think that collectively we're still working out what that healthy dynamic looks like. All right, dear sister, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, I became. Okay, yes. So we're going further down the ancestry rabbit hole. So when I come online again and do another live stream, I'll go into the ancestor stuff. The ancestor stuff is vast, vast, vast work. There's a lot of nuances to it. And, there's even in indigenous circles, there's a lot of distortions with ancestry. Some have a relationship with ancestry that there's a lot of dark, there's a lot of unhelpful ancestors. There's things you need to be aware of, that it's dangerous. And really that has to do with the paradigm that the person is working within. And when you have a lot of trauma, pain, wounding in any kind of lineage, there is a lot of healing that needs to happen because of, maybe people died under tragic circumstances. Maybe they never even passed over when they died. Maybe there's a lot of people in the lineage that were using dark forces and attacking people and cursing lands and doing stuff like this. That is going to have a massive impact on the subsequent generations. So it doesn't matter how justified people feel when they do those things, it still has an impact. And this is why, this work is alchemical on so many levels, because we can bring those shattering, those woundings full circle for ourselves, for our ancestry, and now where there was mayhem, there is now peace. Where there was bitterness and anger, there's now forgiveness and compassion. So there's alchemical things to go on in that kind of relationship with our ancestry. But we need to remember over and over again, keep reminding yourself, what you see in front of you is a result of your belief system. It's the result of your subconscious programming. It's not actually what is. I remind myself all the time. I have to remind myself over and over again. Because when I was working with those, and I still do in dream time from time to time with those immortal masters that were teaching me, they would reiterate over and over again, reality is not what you think it is. What's happening in front of you is not what's really happening in front of you. Though you'll die on that hill fighting for it, that it's real, but it's not. It's an amalgamation of beliefs, thought forms, all these things that aren't even mine. That's the scary thing to perceive, but it's real. Most of the recordings that you have in your head are not even you. A lot of them are, well, stray entities that came in, but a lot of it is a hodgepodge of energy that you took from people you grew up with, people that you loved, people that you respected. Maybe there's people that you didn't like, but they pushed their energy into you. And then you start having, having access to those thought reels. So there's a lot happening that pushes us out from being in tune with our center. And I want to leave with the last with a practice that you can start right now. And if you did this 5 minutes every day, even just 5 minutes every day, this would have an impact on the depth and the consistency of your groundedness and centeredness. And this is so simple, so deceptively simple, but very, very powerful. And that is listen to your heartbeat. Spend 5 minutes every day listening to your heartbeat. Then once you have a sense of it, smile. Smile in the center of your heart. Spend 5 days listening to the heartbeat and smiling into that heartbeat. Doing that every day will do wonders. I was going to say so many things, but wonders is what came out of my mouth. It would do so many things for your in your personal practice. Okay, it not only centers you, it reframes up the kind of activity that's going where your energy goes. Most Westerners are dominant in the mental field. We are planning, we are strategizing, we are worrying, we are coping, we're doing all these things, and it's all mental. It's all our overindulgence in our thought forms. When you spend time focusing on the heartbeat and bringing that inner smile, you are changing the amount of bandwidth that you spend in the mental field, and you're directing it towards the inner reality. And the more you do that, the more amazing it feels, the more you're like rewarding your system to turning the focus inward. And it becomes easier and easier and easier to the point where you prefer doing that before you even get out of bed out in the day, right? You'll actually prefer that tuning in. All right. Thank you, darlings. Thank you. Thank you. What a pleasure to be with you guys again. Let me know how this practice works. Are you able to do the practice? Is this something that you are willing to try out? I would say, normally I tell people to give it 6 months, but I'd give it 6 weeks or 6 days. Like give it a dedicated effort and see what happens. And let me know. I would really love to hear. I would really love to hear how things change in your world by doing this. Oh my gosh. So, guys, if you are in the Northern Colorado area, I invite you guys to come out this weekend to the Body, Mind, Spirit Expo. This is happening on the 10th and the 11th. It's in Northern Denver. Stacy Hernandez and I are going to be at a booth. We're going to offer little mini sessions, either to evaluate your blind spots, help you get clear on what you could do to help your blind spots, or some sort of ancestral thing. But I encourage you guys to come out, say hi, show your support. We are also raffling off private sessions. Private sessions are over $200, and we're raffling those off for $10 a ticket. And then and then I am doing a talk on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. where I'm going to go deep into the practices that are consistent with the new paradigm movement into the new paradigm energy medicine, and how our roles in bringing the new paradigm forward. So that will be on the 11th at 11 a.m. So I invite you guys to check that out. And for those of you who wish to have community support and maybe don't have the resources to enroll in things, no worries. We have amazing things here at Lightbody. There's the energy medicine, the energy clearing that happens at the end of the month. get on our newsletter list, and you will be sent a link and an invitation to that. It's at the end of every month, done by Stacy. She's amazing. She's a great tracker. A lot of people love those group clearings. Even those that do our paid services, come to those group clearings because they get so much out of it. And then there's also the Forest Wisdom Circle, and that's Laurel, and she is, this is all about connecting with nature spirits and connecting with Mother Nature and what that does for you, and all these, and even more than that. And that happens the first Thursday of the month. And then we have some beautiful, beautiful offerings. Stacy next month is offering a energetic um, clearing and class on how to connect with your ancient lineage. So I encourage you guys to go to our website and check that out. It's a one-off. It's just a class that's a one-day thing, and it's low commitment but very, very impactful to your you cultivating your connection to ancestries or launching you into that kind of alchemy. And then we also have the a fairy photograph class, which is all about how to tune your system so you are available to connect with these nature spirits and get them on film. So that is also coming up towards the end of February. So I encourage you guys to go to our website, check out these fun things, and let us know how we're doing. And let us know if there's something in particular that you really would like us to talk about, bring forward, either Stacy or me or Laurel. Everybody here, all the facilitators here in Lightbody are, we all put out, our community service, our efforts. So if there's anything that you really like us to address, just send it in to us and let us know who it's for, and we will be sure to respond. Alrighty, thank you. Mwah. Thank you, Stacy, for that. Thank you for posting that, and thank you guys for being here. So interesting to be back doing this live stream again. It will probably be a couple weeks before I return, but do know that I am picking this back up, and I love you guys. I love hanging out with you guys and having this connection and sharing ideas, and the fact that I can empower and inspire you in any way is just food for my soul. So thank you, thank you, thank you again. And we shall see you guys next time. Bye bye.